Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Raja Madhava Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada.
Gaura Premanande. Dang Vishupad Paramahamsa, Pri Vrajagacharya Stotra Satta, Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Siraboy Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Skandibiti Founder Acharyas, Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Janitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru, to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Syam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savrutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kantana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vansakalpa Tayubhyasyam Kripa Sindhubhyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Sri Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhaviti Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed or practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Sakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swastaya Namaha. The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantara, is the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Mukam karoti vatalam pangum langayate girim yatkripatamaham bande Shri Varam Dinataram. Yatkripatamaham bande Shri Varam Dinataram. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to our Bhagavatam class. New guests we have this morning. Abhijit, all the way from Calcutta. Well, all the way from Hungary. We have an international presence. So we are continuing from the first canto of the Bhagavatam, a new chapter we started a few days back, which I believe is chapter 3, yes. Chapter 3 entitled Krishna is the Source of All Incarnations. And text number 3, huh? Text number 3 this morning. Okay. Oh. Yasya Bhayava Samsthanai Kalpito Loka Vistaraha Tad Vai Bhagavato Rupam Vishuddham Sattvam Urjitam Yasya Vayava Samsthanai Kalpito Loka Vistaraha Tadvai Bhagavato Rupam Vishuddham Sattvam Urjitam Yasya Vayava Samsthanai Kalpito Loka Vistaraha Tadvai Bhagavato Rupam Vishuddham Sattvam Urjitam Yasya Vayava Samsthanai Kalpito Loka Vistaraha Tadvai Bhagavato Rupam Vishuddham Sattvam Urjitam Yasya Vayava Samsthanai Kalpito Loka Vistaraha Tadvai Bhagavato Rupam Vishuddham Sattvam Urjitam
Yasya Vayava Samsthanai
Yasya Vayava Samsthanai Kalpito Loka Vistaraha
Tadvai Bhagavato Rupam
Tadvai Bhagavato Rupam
Vishuddham Sattvam Urjitam
Vishuddham Sattvam Urjitam Yasya Vayava Samsthanai Kalpito Loka Vistaraha Tadvai Bhagavato Rupam Vishuddham Sattvam Urjitam Yasya whose Avyayava Avayava bodily expansion Samsthanai situated in Kalpitaha is imagined Loka planets of inhabitants Vistaraha various Tatvai but that is Bhagavata of the personality of Godhead Rupam form Vishuddham purely Sattvam existence Urjitam,
Urjitam,
excellence.
excellence.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. It is believed that all the universal planetary systems are situated on the extensive body of the Purusha, but he has nothing to do with the created material ingredients. His body is eternally in spiritual existence par excellence. Kindly repeat after me. It is believed
It is believed
that all the universal planetary systems
and all the universal planetary system
are situated
are situated
on the extensive body
on the extensive body
of the Purusha,
of the Purusha,
but he has nothing to do
but he has nothing to do
with the created material
with the
ingredients.
created material ingredients.
His body is eternally
This body is eternally
in spiritual existence
in spiritual existence
par excellence.
par excellence.
Purport. The conception of the Virat Rupa or Vishvarupa of the Supreme Absolute Truth is especially meant for the neophyte who can hardly think of the transcendental form of the personality of Godhead. To him, a form means something of this material world, and therefore an opposite conception of the Absolute is necessary in the beginning to concentrate the mind on the power extension of the Lord. As stated above, the Lord extends his potency in the form of the Mahatattva, which includes all material ingredients. The extension of power by the Lord and the Lord himself personally are one in one sense, but at the same time, the Mahatattva is different from the Lord. Therefore, the potency of the Lord and the Lord are simultaneously different and non-different. The conception of the Virat Rupa, especially for the especially for the impersonalists, is um, is thus non-different from the eternal form of the Lord. This eternal form of the Lord exists prior to the creation of the Mahatattva, and it is stressed here that the eternal form of the Lord is par excellence spiritual or transcendental to the modes of material nature. The very same transcendental form of the Lord is manifested by his internal potency and the formation of his multifarious manifestations of incarnations is uh, is always of the same transcendental quality without any touch of the Maha Tattva. Translation again here. It is believed that all the universal planetary systems are situated on the external body of the Purusha, but he has nothing to do with the created material ingredients. His body is eternally in spiritual existence par excellence. Yes. So we are speaking about again the Virat Rupa or Vishwarupa form of the Lord and how the Lord creates the material world. It is presented in great detail. What is especially stressed is that although the Lord, in His, we spoke in the last few, we read in the last few days about the Purusha incarnations, beginning with what is called Mahavishnu, Karanadakshay Vishnu, and that it is from that personality, that incarnation, that the material ingredients uh, are created. Uh, this is the just like in the sky on a clear day, we only see blue. Of course, today we don't see blue at all, but occasionally in the whole spiritual sky, there occasionally is a cloud, which is described as a Mahatattva, and it is um, this Mahatattva, within this Mahatattva, that the material ingredients are placed by this expansion of the Lord in the form of uh, Karanadakshay Vishnu, who lies on what is described the Viraj or causal ocean. And from the pores of his body and from his mouth as well, uh, so many universes are created, and then that whole description is given. He further expands himself, entering in each of, in every universe um, as Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and then further expands himself as Kshirodakshay Vishnu. What is mentioned here is that the Lord uh, always remains transcendental, although that material energy is created by Him, He remains aloof. That's also, of course, explained in the Bhagavad Gita when Krishna descends in his original transcendental form as Krishna. His appearance and his activities are all transcendental. Janma karma samay divyam. And Krishna further explains that those who actually can understand uh, this nature of the Lord, which is always transcendental, even when he appears and manifests his pastimes in the material world, those who are fortunate to understand that position of the Lord, then uh, what happens if we understand that position of the Lord? We also, as spirit souls, take shelter of that same energy that the Lord uh, manifests when He appears in the material world. So it means that actually the spirit soul living entity, by taking shelter, which is what we try to do every day, by taking shelter of Krishna's what is called Daivi Prakriti, uh, also becomes immune, unaffected by the material energy. Krishna is always in that position, even when coming in the material world. Uh, he assumes, as we know, um, Purusha avatar is one type of avatar. Then there is what is called Guna avatar. He takes on as Vishnu, which is another expansion, the mode of goodness. Mm, but different from the other two incarnations uh, who take up, they're also called Gunavatar. Lord Brahma is Gunavatar. Lord Shiva is Gunavatar, in charge of passion. Lord Brahma is in charge of Tamagun, ignorance. Lord Shiva. They actually come in contact with the material energy. That's the big difference. We also come in contact and become influenced by the material energy. Lord Brahma becomes influenced by the material energy. Even Lord Shiva, he comes in contact with the material energy. So therefore, Krishna's position is that is what our Vaishnav Sampradaya has established, especially through the Goswamis of Vrindavan, is of course a major topic which deals with actually very subtle philosophical aspects of the subject matter of tattva. But our acharyas are, we could say, very united on presenting this very elaborate position that because it's not so easy, especially in a place like India, where there are so many personalities, like so many demigods, so many worshipable, very powerful also. It's like Durga Puja is still going on or already finished?
No, on 20th it will start.
On 20th. 28 or 20?
20.
20, yeah, 20th. So Durga Puja is one major festival, especially in Bengal. Um, so much so that actually it has been uh, recognized by the World Organization of, what is it, UNESCO or something? One of the global, yeah, the either United Nations or UNESCO, who, anyways, they officially. So there are many great personalities. Lord Shiva is another great um, personality. Um, but Krishna has that very unique. That is why Krishna is the focus and the center in our Vaishnav philosophy. And it is supported by so many references, of course, in the Shastra. Ekale Ishvara Krishna Arsabhritya. That is one of many statements. Ekale, Krishna is Eka. Eka means one. He is the only personality who actually is Ishvara. All others are actually subordinate to him. Why? Because Krishna, even when in his original transcendental form, as well as in his different Purusha incarnations, uh, appears in the material world, he remains unaffected by this external energy, which is extremely powerful. And those who are understanding this knowledge, those who take up the process that is recommended in the Shastra, uh, they are described actually as Mahatmas. Mahatmanastamam partam daivim prakritim asritaha. Asraya. Asraya means to take shelter. To take shelter, this is what we are endeavoring to do as devotees, to take shelter of the Daivi Prakriti, and by the various recommended processes, especially in the matter of the chanting of the holy name, and all devotional activities, they are in the category of Daivi Prakriti. So the more we become absorbed and take shelter of this Daivi Prakriti, to that extent we become protected from the Mohini Prakriti, or the external energy of Krishna, or the external energy, of course, of Krishna, that is all pervading within the material world. And so it means that actually we again attain or regain our original transcendental nature. Actually, that's nicely explained also in the very beginning of the ninth, not ninth, I think 14th chapter, yes, of the Bhagavad Gita, which is dealing with the subject matter of the three modes of material nature. Krishna begins the chapter by telling, actually, the whole chapter is Krishna speaking. This is text number 1. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuya Pravakshyami Jnanam Uttamam Yajgyadva Munaya Sarve Param Siddhim Ito Gataha. And the translation is as follows. The Blessed Lord said, "Again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained to supreme perfection." So in other words, by receiving this knowledge, by cultivating this knowledge that is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, as it has been done previously by so many different munis, munaya, sages, one can attain this param siddhim. Param siddhim is translated as a transcendental perfection. And the second verse is connected with this. Idam jnanam upasritya. Those who actually take shelter of this jnanam, this knowledge. Mama sadharmyam agataha. Sadharmyam. There is dharma, swadharma. It's connected with swadharma, isn't it? Swadharma means our original nature. Sargepi nupajayante pralaye na vetanti cha. The translation is, by becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature, which is like my own nature. Isn't it? Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation, nor disturbed at the time of dissolution. Time of dissolution means at the time of death, before leaving this body. We are, as devotees, practicing so that, because most people, one time somebody was asking at the end of a class that Prabhupada was giving, what about those who say that they're not afraid of death? Prabhupada immediately replied, they're crazy people.
Let's see.
They say pagol, no?
Fire
Yeah.
is fire.
Huh?
Fire is fire.
Fire is fire.
You afraid or not?
So one may say so many things, but actually, when that moment actually comes, everyone, because by nature, uh, we become frightened or disturbed when faced with something unknown. And most of us, not most of us, all of us, all of us will be forced by the laws of nature to face this unknown moment. Uh, but that unknown moment for a devotee can become known by becoming fully fixed and absorbed in that transcendental um, understanding. Uh, it's not just a question of transcendental understanding, but it's a question of what is it? Living that understanding or awakening that our transcendental nature, isn't it? So the more our transcendental nature becomes awakened, then uh, that is the explanation. One is able, before that critical moment, one is able to transcend one's material nature. So that is the whole purpose, actually, of practicing, applying spiritual life, is that we are gradually, to the extent that we apply the process, learning to be uh, less and less influenced or affected by these modes of material nature. Otherwise, um, yes, by the laws of nature, we are, which is the situation for the vast majority of conditioned souls in the material world. They are unable to understand what is taking place, and they are forced by the laws of nature to again uh, take birth in the material world. So these texts are kind of inter interconnected here. Mm. Mm. So this was text number 3. Mm. So we have time, we can read text number 4 also, just the translation and purport. Mm. Mm. Text number 4, translation. The devotees with their perfect eyes see the transcendental form of the Purusha, who has thousands of legs, thighs, arms, and faces, all extraordinary, all extraordinary. In that body there are thousands of heads, ears, eyes, and noses. They are decorated with thousands of helmets and glowing earrings and are adorned with garlands. Prabhupada gives the following purport. With our present materialized senses, we cannot perceive anything of the transcendental Lord. Our present senses are to be rectified by the process of devotional service. Huh? Rectified, to be corrected. Yeah, to be corrected. And then the Lord Himself becomes revealed to us. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed that the transcendental Lord can be perceived only by pure devotional service. Yeah. Mm. That is also referred to as Shastra Chakshu, seeing things, understanding things through the eyes of Shastra, which will gradually enable one to see things as they are, to understand things as they are. So it is confirmed in the Vedas that only devotional service can lead one to the side of the Lord, and that only devotional service can reveal Him. So this, of course, is central to our Vaishnava philosophy, which is why Srila Prabhupada was very strongly expressing how any other form of spiritual practice, even though it may be called spiritual, if it is devoid of this element or aspect of bhakti, then it is a disservice, because one will not be able to become freed from the material entanglement in which we find ourselves. So only devotional service can lead one to the side of the Lord, and that only okay. And only devotional service can reveal Him or Krishna. In the Brahma Samhita also it is said that the Lord is always visible to the devotee whose eyes have been anointed with the tinge of devotional service. So we have to make, or rather we have to take information of the transcendental form of the Lord from persons who have actually seen Him with perfect eyes, smeared with devotional service. In the material world also, we do not always see things with our own eyes. We sometimes see through the experience of those who have actually seen or done things. If that is the process for experiencing a mundane object, it is more perfectly applicable in matters transcendental. So only with patience and perseverance can we realize the transcendental subject matter regarding the absolute truth and his different forms. He is formless to the neophytes, but he is in transcendental form to the expert servitor. Mm. Any thoughts on this or comments?
This Shaksha Chakshusha means for me that there is a spirit soul and there is a false ego, mind, intellect, which is active for the conditioned souls. And Chakshus means for the conditioned soul gets information through this false ego, through this material ego, until not develop spiritual senses. My question is that development is experienced like a growing feeling or more and more spiritual experience which is parallelly going on with this material but nice experience, or it's just one moment when it's ready like a egg opening and then
Here I am.
yeah.
Prabhupada gives a very nice explanation, because your question is related to actually what is called ultimately, because we have to come to that point of what is called Swarup Siddhi. Sarup Siddhi is regaining our original nature, our original spiritual nature. So how does that happen? Is basically the question you're asking. And then Prabhupada explains how, just like in all living entities, uh, the uh, the sex desire is present, but it is only appearing at a certain time. When, like in small children, sex understanding or sex desire is not present. As the body grows, uh, the young man's body, young girl's body, at a certain time, that will manifest. So, in a similar way, as we grow in our spiritual practices, the more we apply the process of bhakti, devotional service, and in the beginning, it is not pure bhakti, obviously. It is sadhana. So these are the levels: sadhana, raga, which is also known as bhava, bhava bhakti, then prema bhakti. So this raga bhakti or bhava bhakti, which is the beginning of that awakening, comes of its own accord, in its own manner, in its own time. Very similar to as the body grows and develops. It's not that it just happens, but it slowly, gradually, just like a flower. A flower, the will slowly appear and then start to open and fully become manifest. So in a similar way, this consciousness, this spiritual, we could call it awakening, um, uh, and we could say the perfectional stage of that awakening, which will enable us to fully abandon our false ego, because that is what is preventing us at present from being fully realized. Will, that's why Prabhupada says that if we simply uh, apply the process, uh, these will be the natural developments that will take place. There will be a gradual loss of interest or attraction to material things. There will be a gradual detachment from all things related to our false ego. And then we will gradually become more and more fixed in our real ego. From false ego, we will attain the level or the position of real ego. So it's not, Prabhupada would give the example, we won't mention the name, of one great personality in Bengal who claimed to have become self-realized simply by the physical touch of his, spiritual master. It's like receiving some kind of electric charge, and then he became unconscious or something. So that is not. It is not like that. Spiritual awakening um, is generally it is gradual. Of course, there's a nice example in the Chaitanya Charitamrita when we know that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he from Bengal decided to make his headquarters in Jagannath Puri, then the local king at the time, King Prataparudra, who was a very, very advanced devotee actually, and who recognized, he very much appreciated. He made all kinds of arrangements actually for the Vaishnavas, and he developed a strong desire to personally meet, to have darshan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there's a whole nice pastime there where Mahaprabhu just rejected the idea. But eventually he conceded that, okay, I cannot meet him, but I'll meet his son. You know, son is like representative of the father. Uh, so it was arranged that one day the young boy, who was maybe 14 years old, he came to Lord Chaitanya, uh, and he came dressed in a Vaishnava dress, nice tilak, and so when he came in the presence of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya was reminded of Krishna, and out of affection, he actually embraced the boy, and it's described very nicely how the boy, by that contact with Lord Chaitanya, he immediately developed ecstatic symptoms, and all the devotees were present, many senior devotees like Advaita Acharya, possibly Nityananda Prabhu, others. They became astonished because this is like very rare level of developed consciousness. So in other words, so that's how it's explained that there is um, sadhana siddha, there is nitya siddha, then there is kripa siddha. So this particular anecdote was an example of kripa siddha. One can attain that perfection of siddha, or perfection, which means self-realization, knowing our constitutional position, but very rarely by special kripa or mercy. For the vast majority of conditioned souls in the material world, it is through the process of sadhana. So through sadhana, so Prabhupada mentions it is guaranteed, as one applies that process, then it will become manifest. Yeah. So that example, Prabhupada, that I just mentioned about, which is something that comes about in the early teenage years. Teenager develops this natural attraction, which is basic sex attraction, which is actually a perverted reflection of the original. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, it's in one of the purports of the Bhagavatam. He speaks about, was it sex psychology in the spiritual world? Some people are very attracted to that. Sex psychology in the spiritual world, because Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The book, no, it's in the Bhagavatam, one of the purports. I forget which purport, but
so not a special book of Vishwanath, but
no, you're right. Prabhupada, well, yeah, one of the commentaries of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Yeah. So because there is kama, which we generally equate with material desire, but kama, the original kama, is there in its pure form as prema, isn't it? Yeah. When we so when we disconnect with Krishna, that love becomes lust. Yeah, but that lust is that's why that everyone in the material world is forced by nature, because it's our nature to engage in loving relationships. But when Krishna is not there, they become self-centered, and they are, we could say, a false expression of the original loving propensity that we have. So Prabhupada assures assures all of us that the information that we are receiving and that he has given us in these literatures, when properly followed and applied, will gradually lead us to that level uh, of total self-realization. Um, yes. Prabhupada also gives the example, which is something that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about as well. It's just like a hungry person, as he eats, he, he feels satisfied. He gains strength and he becomes no longer hungry. So in a similar way, as we practice spiritual life, we will feel satisfied. And Prabhupada would say, therefore, we are meant to ourselves, um, what is it, understand how we are progressing to the extent that we are feeling nourished, as someone who eats also feels nourished. So the spiritual process is similar. That's why Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 9:2, Susukam Kartam Avyayam, Raja Vidya Rajaguyam Pavitram Idam Utamam Pratyakshava Gamam Dharmyam. Dharmyam Pratyaksha means direct experience. Pratyaksha. Pratyakshava Gamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartam Avyayam. And that's why Prabhupada would often remind us, devotee means someone who's happy. Yeah, someone who's peaceful.
No, this goes little, but
Yeah.
goes.
Gradually it improves.
Yes. Yeah, it becomes more and more established.
But quick also. Bhakti Thakur tells that every 3 days or something, like every Ekadasis, you have to feel.
Yeah, correct.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, special
This
days are there.
is,
Yeah. So it's like foundation that becomes stronger. Those are architects, they know about foundation.
one strong is,
Yeah,
another
right.
strength,
Yeah.
nothing.
Maharaj, I have one question.
Yes.
As you mentioned, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma,
Yes.
but in material world, one president, only one president in one country.
Correct.
So Lord is one. So how can we designate Lord as Shiva and Brahma? Because as we know,
No,
Krishna
Lord,
is,
you mean why do we call them Lord?
yes.
Yeah. No, because ultimately there's only one supreme Lord,
Okay.
but those who are, just like, for example, in a country, there is one prime minister, but there are many other ministers.
Yes.
They all have the name minister,
Yes.
but there is one prime. So that's why I was mentioning Ekkale Ishvara Krishna. There's one Ishvara. We are also, even the small living entity is also sometimes actually, in our false conception, consider ourselves Ishvara, controller. And to some extent, in the family or in the country, whatever positions, we have some kind of, but we're not the original Ishvara. So the title Lord is given to many great personalities: Lord Brahma, Lord Indra, Lord Shiva, Lord, similar to um, the term minister.
I heard from some lecture. Sometimes Krishna also takes the position of Brahma when there is no suitable.
Yes, yes, uh, yes. Just like when there's a new government in place, so sometimes the president will take on various portfolios because there's no qualified minister for that one. Okay, yeah.
new president took up the financial minister
Acha.
for a long time.
Oh, okay.
He didn't give it to anyone.
Yeah, well, because those are important folios. Finance. Yeah.
May I have one more question?
Mm.
Here the verse mentioned is imaginary form.
Yes.
So generally there are two tendencies. One is that we have imaginary power, but the spiritual practice is kind of risky to use. Or maybe we can use it properly, the imaginary power, when we know that imagining something, but can we use that material quality power for spiritual advancement, or it's better when there is a,
Can we use?
yeah, like material qualities like emotions, imaginary power, picturing power. Like I want to see Krishna and I imagine I see Krishna. Some persons have this visualization. It's material, but can we use it for spiritual advancement or like upadhi?
I would say we have to be careful in using things because actually,
So, for example, the Brahmana in the Sri Chaitanya's teaching, he was imagining he's doing puja and everything he made by imagination, and that the Lord was satisfied with that.
but that example of the Brahmana in South India, in his mind offering puja,
Yeah.
as you mentioned. So that whole lila is to demonstrate that actually when we mentally perform some activity in relation to Krishna, it's not imaginary. It's real. And the proof in that particular example was that when in his dream, so-called dream, that's what Krishna wanted to convey to him, that your form of worship in your mind uh, is as good as actually doing
It's
it.
good. Yeah, that's good.
Is as good.
But still, he's not doing it in his soul. He's doing it in his material ego, like a Brahmana.
No, but he because it's an activity that is connected with Krishna.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual activity.
That's some question you have how to use this material power, imagination, to have some service like that.
Well, of course, we are using this body, this material body, but we should not. We should follow the prescribed guidelines that are given in the Shastra, and avoid, because generally when the word imagination is connected with speculation.
That's I want to see the difference. Not
Yeah.
to speculate, but
Yeah. So whatever is there in the Shastra that is advised for our practices, that we should follow. So if it is not in the Shastra, then we should avoid, basically. Yeah.
yeah, like Sachanda Maharaj is teaching that when you try to focus your mind on Krishna, when you're chanting, you can imagine that in your heart you prepare a nice throne and invite him there, and then you chant his name.
Yes. Prabhupada mentions that actually when we chant the holy name, our primary goal should be to hear the transcendental sound. And by this practice of hearing the transcendental sound, that may take us to different realms. But it's just like Prabhupada would be sometimes chastising some of his artists who were making paintings about Krishna doing some particular activity because he thought this is not in the Shastra. So it's a little tricky.
So we have to be very aware of if Shastra is mentioned in that may, and also very carefully not to.
Yes, yeah, because we, that's the problem with sahajas, isn't it? Yeah, the sahajas, they imagine too many things.
Yeah.
They imagine themselves to be like Krishna, and they can have illicit activities.
Definitely not Shastra.
Right. Yeah. And therefore, very important to be in line with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra in all of our practices, and then that is more secure. So we should take this opportunity to wish our Gonitai Prabhu a very happy journey. Okay, I can close, yeah. Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki.